Hi, I'm Elizabeth Tulija, PhD, PCC Executive Coach, and a former Wharton professor who recently joined TalentMotives as Chief Science Officer. When people think about leadership development, they often focus on skills, communication, strategy, execution. But there is one capability that influences all of these. It's self-awareness. And without it, even highly experienced leaders struggle to improve in consistent and meaningful ways. Most leaders underestimate the importance of self-awareness, even though it's one of the most critical leadership capabilities. Leaders spend years building expertise. They learn how to think strategically, how to manage complexity, how to operate within their industry. But far fewer spend time understanding how they themselves operate, how they respond when things don't go as planned, how they communicate under pressure, how their behavior is actually experienced by others. And those internal patterns shape everything. Without self-awareness, leadership becomes reactive, driven by habit rather than intention. But when leaders develop awareness, they begin to lead with clarity and control. You can't change what you don't recognize. Many leadership challenges are not new problems. They are repeated patterns. A leader may consistently interrupt in meetings without realizing it. They may avoid difficult conversations, or they may default to making decisions too quickly. But because these behaviors feel natural, they often go unnoticed. And when something goes unnoticed, it doesn't get improved. Recognition is what turns behavior into something you can actually work with. Leaders often don't see themselves the way others experience them. There's a gap between intent and impact. A leader may believe they are being clear, but their team experiences something different. They may believe they are being direct, but others experience them as abrupt. And that gap creates friction. It affects trust. It affects communication. It affects alignment. And unless that gap is understood, it continues to shape how the team functions. Self-awareness becomes most important under pressure. When things are calm, leaders have the space to think and respond, and do it deliberately. But under pressure, behavior becomes automatic. Leaders default to their natural tendencies. They may move faster, communicate differently, or become more directive. And those tendencies become amplified. That's why pressure is such an important lens for leadership, because it reveals how someone truly operates. Your leadership style is not just a set of choices. It's a set of patterns. Leaders often believe they are choosing how they behave, but much of their behavior is driven by consistent internal patterns. For example, how quickly they make decisions, how they handle ambiguity, how they prioritize. These patterns are shaped by intrinsic drivers. And until those drivers are understood, behavior remains automatic. Feedback alone does not create self-awareness. Feedback tells you what others observe, but it doesn't explain why the behaviors occur. Without that deeper understanding, feedback feels disconnected or difficult to act on consistently. Self-awareness requires both perspective and insight. It's about understanding not just what you do, but what drives why you do it. Self-aware leaders adapt. Others repeat patterns. When leaders understand their tendencies, they gain flexibility. They can adjust how they communicate, or they can shift how they make decisions, or they can respond differently depending on the situation. Without that awareness, leaders tend to repeat the same behaviors, even when those behaviors are no longer effective. And that's what limits growth. Leadership effectiveness depends on alignment between intent and behavior. It's not enough to have the right intention. Leadership is experienced through behavior. So effectiveness depends on how closely these two align. When they don't align, teams experience inconsistency. When they do align, leaders create clarity, trust, and direction. Self-awareness creates precision in leadership. With awareness, leaders become more deliberate. They choose how to communicate, how to respond in difficult moments, how to engage with different individuals. That precision reduces friction and improves outcomes. Understanding what drives you is the foundation of self-awareness. At TalentMotives, we focus on intrinsic drivers, the factors that shape how leaders think and behave. When leaders understand these drivers, they gain clarity. And with that clarity, they can lean more intentionally, not just reactively. Self-awareness doesn't just improve leadership. It transforms how leaders think, how leaders decide, and how leaders operate every day.